Okay, back once again with another lecture video. So this time we'll talk about another chapter in operation management. This time we have inventory management. Okay, so the following are learning objectives. So number one, we want to define the term inventory and list the major reason for holding inventories. List the main requirements for effective inventory management. We want to discuss the nature and importance of service inventory, the periodic and perpetual inventory system, discuss objective of inventory management, and describe the ABC approach and explain how it is useful in inventory management. Further, we will try to describe the basic EOQ model and its assumption and some typical problems, describe the economic production quantity model and solve typical problems, and describe quantity discount model, and of course solve typical problem, describe reorder point model and its typical problem, and finally describe situation in which the single period model would be appropriate, and of course solve for typical problems. So initially, an inventory is a stock of store of goods. So basically, we treat these stocks as our assets. So we basically purchase assets or stocks, okay, and make it part of our inventory. Now, our inventory or the number of items in our inventory, the different types of items in our inventory is basically based on two types of demand. The independent demand, which is the uncertain demand, and of course the dependent demand, which is the certain demand for the organization. Okay, so when you say independent demand, these are finished goods, items that are ready to be sold. For example, computers and finished goods, cell phone, okay, television, and so inventory of finished good items. While the dependent demand, these are the component of the finished goods. So example, these are parts that makes up our computer. These are parts that makes up our cell phone or our television, etc. So the main difference between independent are the finished goods, while the dependents are the component of finished products. Okay. Now, with reference to that, the company may have or may have to hold different types of inventory. So that the organization may have their inventory for raw materials, okay, for partial or complete goods, okay, or the finished goods itself, inventory. Yan. So raw materials and purchased products, okay, partially completed goods or what we call work in progress, okay, or the finished good itself. Okay, these are for retail store or for the manufacturing or merchandising company. So it really depends on the type of the organization and in the type of processes that we make in the organization on the type of the inventory that we hold. Okay, more so, okay, for example, replacement parts or tools, okay, are also part of our inventory. So these are again replacement parts, tools, and supplies. While on the other hand, we can also uh, consider the goods in transit to the warehouse or to our consumers as part of our inventory. Okay, so again, okay, so these are goods in transit, okay, either incoming to our warehouse or outgoing to our consumers. Okay, they are still part of our inventory. While the replacement parts, tools, or supplies, or probably these are raw materials purchased or partially completed products, or either finished goods that are still part of our inventory, okay, in our warehouse. Yan. Okay? Now, why do we need to understand the concept of inventory? Because the concept of inventory may have different functions to the organization. Maintaining inventory for the organization could simply mean, number one, anticipating demand, or okay, maintaining inventory, okay, can also be for product requirements. Yan. Okay, to smoothen product requirements. Okay, more so, maintaining inventory can also decouple our operation. So if we do not have enough inventory, so that may cause stoppage of the organization. Okay, and of course, for us to protect against stockouts. Okay, so these are the different functions of inventory. No, more so, okay, companies also maintain inventory probably to take advantage of order cycles. So there are what you call order cycles in which the company take advantage, and basically they maintain inventory, okay, of certain goods or products or items or uh, component parts. Okay? And of course, to another example, why company maintains inventory is to hedge against price increase. So we all know that, no? So for example, there will be some increase in pricing of, let's say, our component parts of our material. Companies will buy more of those items basically to protect against price increase. So you are hedging. Yan. Okay? Uh, Most importantly, okay, as a function of inventory is to permit operation. Okay, so without inventory, okay, the organization, okay, cannot move forward in their operations or probably take advantage of some quantity discount. Yan. So aside from order cycle, aside from hedging of prices, sometimes company they conduct inventory, okay, simply because they take advantage of quantity discount from their suppliers. Okay, moving forward.
Okay.
Okay, so with due respect to the different functions of inventory, again, meeting anticipated demand, product requirements, not to decouple operations, protect against stockouts, okay, take advantage of order cycle and take advantage of quantity discounts, a permit operation and hedge against price. The following are objectives of inventory control. It's not only a concept of maintaining inventory, but of course our inventory should be productive for the organization. So it's supposed to be for the organization's gain. So with that, no, we will want to use the term inventory control. Yan. So not only inventory or not only to maintain inventory, but of course, pay inventory control with the following objective. So the reason that we want to control our inventory is to achieve satisfactory level of customer service while also keeping inventory costs within reasonable bound. Now, two concepts. Of course, inventory being part of the asset of the organization, okay, and inventory being our asset is being protected, okay, and using this asset as part of our way to satisfy our customer. And so achieving again satisfactory level or the right level of inventory ensures customer service and customer satisfaction. Okay? So meaning to say our inventory control affects our customer service. More so, it affects our costs in terms of ordering and carrying inventory. So now, with that, no, we'll take a look at one of the basic accounting terms or accounting ratio. And accounting terms ratio, you have what you call inventory turnover ratio or inventory turnover. It's actually a ratio of the average of goods sold to the average of inventory investment. So this time, again, taking into consideration our investment, okay, part of our inventory investment, like I said, no, si inventory asset natin yan, versus, okay, the amount that we are selling, okay, to our customer, okay, answering their needs. Okay. Now, an effective inventory management, okay, system, okay, is a system that keeps track of our inventory for the organization, for the advantage of the organization. Okay? The inventory management creates reliable forecast for demand. Okay? So demand equals inventory. Okay? The effective inventory management also allows us knowledge of lead time. Okay? Later on, we'll talk more about lead time. Okay? Initially, lead time is the part wherein the organization would uh, create reorder point. Okay? So that, okay, by the time the order, okay, will come in or be in transit, okay, just in time, okay, the organization's inventory will run out and it will be replenished by the incoming inventory. Okay, reasonable estimate, okay, is also part of effective inventory management. That includes holding costs, ordering costs, and shortage costs. And of course, a clear and efficient classification system for our inventory. Okay? So, talking about inventory system, okay, talking about an efficient inventory system, the following are types of counting system, okay, for our inventory. So, number one, when you say periodic system, okay, the physical count of items in our inventory is made at a periodic interval. Ibig sabihin, we are counting it, binibilang natin siya paisa-isa. Okay, binibilang natin siya isa-isa periodically. Yan. So, for example, probably, no, nakapunta ka na sa Mercury kung saan katutak na post-it, yung nakalagay, bawat isang SKU, yan, nag-inventaryo sila nun. Ibig sabihin, binibilang nila isa-isa. Okay? In a periodic system. So this can be, for example, for ano nga ba? Monthly, a quarterly, or annually. And so merong periodic system of counting our inventory. Okay? On the other hand, you have what you call a perpetual inventory system. So this time, a system that keeps track of removal from inventory continuously. Thus, monitoring current level of each items. So, ibig sabihin, you have a system, a computerized system, for example, or a way of counting system, a manual counting system in which perpetually you are keeping track of your inventory. No? Think of it this way. Yung sari-sari store, mag-stock ng mga produkto, okay, on a daily and weekly operation, mapapansin mo na lang naubos, tapos magpe-perpetual count, periodic count ka kung ilan yung natira at ilan yung kailangan mo bilhin. Okay? While si perpetual inventory system, real-time, daily, na monitor natin kung ilan yung ating inventaryo. Yan. So nakikita natin sa sistema kung ilan yung inventaryo na meron tayo. No? Okay, another type of inventory system is what you call the two-bin inventory system or the two-bin system. Okay? From the word two-bin means two container of inventory. Reorder when the first bin is empty. Ayan. So, halimbawa, may dalawang box tayo ng inventaryo. Pag naubos yung isang box, of course, gagamitin natin yung isang box, that would be our reorder point. Okay? So, unlike periodic, so kung kailan lang periodic mo nakita na kulang yung inventaryo, be weekly or monthly or quarterly, at saka ka lang magre-reorder. Unlike perpetual, na normally it works for large SKU organization, for example, yung mga supermarket, dapat yan perpetual kasi hindi mo makikita ng buo kung ano na yung nauubos na inventaryo mo. Okay, so you do it perpetually because Some items might be full, some items might be running out of stocks, either on a weekly or a daily basis. So perpetually you are replenishing those out of stocks or limited stocks. Okay? A two-bin, yan, uh, first in, first out, once one bin, two bin policy. Pag naubos na yung first bin mo, gagamitin mo yung second bin, magre-reorder ka na. Okay? On the other hand, okay, ginagamit natin minsan yung tinatawag na universal barcode or barcode. Yan. So, example. No? Printed on the label that has information about the items to which it is attached. Ngayon, ginagamit pa rin yan sa mga supermarket. Although ngayon, ang ginagamit na natin madalas ay mga QR code in which we can easily generate our own QR code. Yan, mas ano kasi siya, mas flexible for our use, no? Pero si barcode still ginagamit pa rin ngayon. Each of the line represents a characteristic in which we classify our inventory. Okay? Now, our inventory counting system may need for us to understand the following terminologies. So these are inventory terms. Yan. Number one is of course lead time. Ayan. So binanggit na natin kanina. Time interval between ordering and receiving the order. So for example, nag-2-bin system ka, naubos yung isang bin mo. So reorder ka na ngayon. Bakit? Kasi for example, ang estimate mo 3 days, mauubos yung bin, or 2 to 3 days, 1 to 2 days, darating yung another bin na in-order mo. So meron kang 1 day lead time. Ibig sabihin yung oras kung kailan ka umorder, tsaka kung kailan dumating. Ang tawag doon lead time. So for example, no, basic natin yan. Kay Shopee, kay Lazada, pag umorder tayo, minsan sabihin nila, let's say 3 to 5 days. Yan. Pero minsan darating 2, 3 araw. Pero ibig sabihin, binibigyan nila ng lead time yung sarili nila kung kailan ma-i-deliver yung ating order. No? More so, we also have holding or carrying costs. So this is now the cost of an item in our inventory for a length of time, usually a year. Okay? So ito yung halaga, yung gastos sa pag-maintain or paglalagay ng produkto sa ating inventaryo. Normally, binibilang yan yearly. Although, very seldom, it's not always common na nagtatagal ng 1 taon yung inventaryo. Dapat talaga hindi siya tumatagal ng 1 taon. Pero in that consideration, we are considering what you call holding costs. Okay? On the other hand, you have what you call the ordering costs. Cost of ordering and receiving inventory. That is the freight cost. Ibig sabihin, yan yung gastos pag umu-order tayo. Okay? Yung gastos natin administratively, with our manpower to perform inventory management and make that order. And sometimes pati yung freight charges. Yan, yung transportation costs. Yan, yung delivery charge sa atin yan. Minsan hindi naman sa atin, pero nagiging part din o nagiging part yan ng ating ordering cost kung sa atin yan na-charge. Okay? And of course, the storage cost. Okay? Somewhat similar to holding cost. Okay? The storage cost is the cost when the demand this time exceeds supply. Ibig sabihin, nagbabayad tayo ng facility ng warehouse na wala naman tayong supply. Ibig sabihin, sayang yung binabayad natin. So, storage cost yan. Okay? In terms of classification system, so we mentioned that kanina, and of course, I think there will be some example in my video, in my other video presentation with regards to classification system. So it's a system of inventory or classifying inventory according to some measure of importance and allocating the control effort accordingly. So meaning to say, not all components and part of my inventory is as important as others. So I would want to classify according to ABC system, A being very important, B being moderately important, and C being least important. So this A classification are items with a high annual value and low percentage of items. Ibig sabihin, ito yung mabilis yung turnover, mabilis mabenta. Malaki rin yung kinikita ko dito. Yan. Sabi naman, these are moderate. So I still need to maintain, but not as important of allocating my effort to A products or A classification. They are only moderate. Okay, CC naman are very low in terms of annual volume, but still I need to maintain as part of my customer service. Ito naman yung hindi mabilis na maubos, pero kailangan meron pa rin ako dahil nagiging parte pa rin to ng aking classification sa inventaryo, no, sa customer service ko. Moving forward, again, a cycle counting, may it be again perpetual, periodic, a 2-bin, universal barcode. When you say cycle counting, it's all about physical count of items. Sabihin, binibilang natin physically isa-isa. Okay? Cycle of in which counting management is at place. Wherein management should count with accuracy. The management determine the cycle of counting to be performed. Ano ba yung schedule natin and who should do it? May it be our regular employee or someone in the audit department or other department of the organization performing the cycle counting. On the concept of EOQ or economic order quantity is actually an operation management model in which the order size is determined to minimize the total cost. Meaning to say, kung ikaw si supermarket, gaano kadami yung i-order mo sa isang SKU, sa isang number of stocks mo, that will allow you to minimize your annual cost. So of course, no, with and in consideration to many aspects of the product, whether number one, it is a fast-selling product, or moderate or low-selling product. Number two, the amount of investment you have in that product, meaning to say the price, the retail price, and the cost of the product. Yan. So, di-determine natin yan with demand per se also. We need to determine our economic production model, the efficient number of items that either we need to put in our inventory or should we maintain as part of our inventory in order for us to be more profitable. And in consideration also of the quantity discount. And so EOQ, economic production model, and of course quantity discount. Some assumption of the EOQ model. Remember, the EOQ model allow us to minimize our costs. So of course, in business, when you have less cost and more profit or more sales, you are more profitable. Again, more sales, less cost, more profit for the organization. So these are assumptions of the EOQ. Again, that intends to minimize our total annual cost. Number one, only one product is involved. So ibig sabihin, there is an EOQ model per product. Annual demand requirements is determined or known. Demand is even throughout the year. These are assumptions. Lead time does not vary. Ibig sabihin, we determine our own lead time and the delivery time, the order and delivery time is constant. Each order is received in a single delivery and there's no quantity discount. These are assumptions of the EOQ model. Again, these are also only held as an assumption. But in reality, our economic order quantity assumption versus the reality in which, number one, you have several EOQ model for each product because most likely the company is not maintaining a single product. Number two, demand requirements may not be known or it might be fluctuating. So you have your model versus a fluctuating demand. Okay, and of course this model, okay, this demand may not be equal all throughout the year. Okay, lead time may not vary, etc. So again, so our assumption in creating our model that allow us to minimize actual cost versus reality in terms of our or versus reality in terms of EOQ model. Yan. So ano yung totoong nangyayari versus dun sa modelo na ginawa natin. Okay? For example, in terms of inventory cycle, yan. Okay? And let us apply some of the things that we have discussed. Number one, okay, take into consideration that let's say you have your Q or your quantity at hand. Okay, and this is your usage rate. Okay, determining our reorder point. So this is our reorder point. With and in consideration of our usage, our inventory decreases, but at a certain reorder point, we need to place our order, in consideration of our receive time, or rather lead time, in which the order will be received, okay, and of course our stock will now be replenished. Yan. So lead time, place order ulit, lead time ulit, receive order ulit, replenish ulit. Okay, so this is now the profile of the level of our inventory over time. And so this is the horizontal line represents the time. Okay, so as an organization probably involved in production or even services, yan, or even administrative, no, we also maintain stocks, and we should also consider the inventory order cycle of our organization. Most particularly those in commerce, those in retail, those in manufacturing. Very important yan. Okay. Moving forward, so we have now the concept of total cost. So remember, your total cost is an assumption of your annual carrying cost plus our ordering cost. Yan. So in inventory, part dyan is not only the production cost, but we consider the annual carrying cost of maintaining our inventory and product versus our ordering cost. And so with that concept, the total cost curve is assumed to have a U shape in which, again, total cost, annual and ordering cost is now determined, and our ordering cost is a curve, kasi may learning curve pa rin tayo doon, and we want to determine versus our order quantity. Ayan, itong point na to. Ayan, sa gitna, yung ating optimal order quantity. That allows us to, if we go back, determine our lead time. Ayan. So again, the name of the game is always to minimize our costs. So not only in terms of our product cost, but also our annual carrying costs and our annual ordering costs. Yan. So yung annual carrying cost, siyempre, in consideration to our holding costs. Sabihin, nandun yan sa ating inventaryo, nasa refrigerator natin yan, nasa warehouse natin yan, nasa storage facilities natin yan. Yan. So, dinidetermine natin yan, yung ating optimal order quantity. With and in reference to our ordering costs and our annual costs. So, we want to determine the lowest possible cost. And of course, deriving our economic order quantity, usually using calculus or some computer application. We take derivative of the total cost function and set of derivatives, slope equals to 0 to solve for the right quantity. Yan. Dynamic order quantity, the right quantity that will allow us to determine our optimal order quantity. So probably I would like to cut my discussion. This will be part one of my discussion. Thank you very much for listening, and hold on for some examples and instruction. Okay, and stay tuned for the next part. Once again, this is Professor Ayuson. Thank you very much for listening.